Hi everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you all doing? What's happening? Okay, so today we're going to talk about. Welcome to day seven. Let's start with that. Welcome to day seven, and for everyone that has joined us on this journey, thank you. So, for the past 7 days, we've been looking at what I've called stock to finish. And I will, as usual, do a recap. But first of all, let me introduce myself. Good morning, wherever you're listening from. My name is DK Jonah, and I am a productivity coach. I am the creator of Stock to Finish. It's a way to help people achieve what they want to achieve and as guiding them to finish what they've started. What we've observed is this: people are great at setting goals. I used to old school working goal setting workshops in 2016. My radio show, I talked a lot about goal setting and things like that. But I realized that it's not enough to start. Most people get stuck. And we define someone that is stuck as somebody that is great at starting, but is always not able to make progress. And we're not looking at being stuck on procrastinating on just one project. We're looking at someone that is doing this consistently and frequently and has been doing this for more than 6 months. So we refer to it as something that is chronic, a chronic problem that you may be facing. And I just want to know how my audio is today because I know some days the audio is bad on some platforms. So please, wherever you're listening to me from, let me know. How is the audio today? How am I doing? Can you hear me properly? I think I've connected everything and it should be fine. But let's continue. So for day seven, we're looking at something and it's about productivity myths. And it's basically, thank you, Gloria. It's basically looking at the mistakes or the things people believe about productivity that are completely wrong. But we're going to be dwelling on one particular myth that is, in my opinion, something that I believed in, and we will go more into more details when we get into that one, and it's simply about efficiency versus effectiveness. But before we proceed, I've got a little quiz. Today, the quiz is coming first, so let's see. And it's true or false. So you just tell me true or false what you think the responses are. So let's get started. True or false? Productivity is busy. Being busy means being productive. That's the first one. True or false? Being busy means being productive. True or false? What's your opinion? Your honest opinion, no, no cheating. I know thinking of answers that I will give. Being busy means being more productive. True or false? Second question coming up once I get one answer from you. Being busy means being more productive. True or false? The second question is common simple also, and it's quite important. Um All right. Multitasking enhances productivity. That's the second question. Multitasking enhances productivity. So the first one was being busy means being more productive. The second is multitasking enhances productivity. What's your opinion? True or false? Now, what's the next one? And if you're watching the replay, just answer them based on your own understanding. And our rules are simple as usual. You answer based on where you are or what you think or know what you should be thinking, so that we are building people that are honest and are being the best versions of themselves. Working longer hours leads to greater productivity. Working longer hours leads to greater productivity. True or false? That's another question we are looking to answer. Working longer hours leads to greater productivity. True or false? All right, the next question is: productivity is solely about completing tasks quickly. So is it about how your speed is productivity about speed? What is it about in your own opinion? Productivity is solely about completing tasks quickly. Remember, you're writing true or false, and multitasking enhances productivity. Fantastic. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. So we're still looking at the quiz now. Thank you so much, Anthony, for responding. Okay, having a cluttered workspace flusters. fosters creativity and productivity. What's your opinion? True or false? Having a cluttered workspace fosters creativity and productivity. True or false? Being constantly, okay, so I'll try and take them one after the other so that at least you can get time to be able to answer. More meetings equates to increased productivity. True or false? More meetings equates to being productive. True or false? So these answers were given true or false answer responses to this, or you can give me your own opinion. But it's good for us to have a conversation. Now, this is one that I really, really used to believe, and I believe many people think about this. Taking breaks hinders your productivity. What do you think about that? Do you think when you take breaks, it hinders your productivity? True or false? We have just a couple of more questions and then we will get into the meat of what we are discussing. And we'll give responses to. It's false to say having a cluster space enhances productivity. Fantastic. I like that the responses are coming with opinions. That's good because today we're going to be talking about productivity myths. And now we're going to talk about being efficiency versus effectiveness in a while. And there are a couple of things that we need to get out of the way when it comes to that. All right. Being efficient means getting more tasks done in a shorter amount of time. When you think about efficiency, when you say, this person is such an efficient worker, does that mean that the person gets more tasks done in a shorter time? Or what do you believe that is? What is, in your own opinion, is an efficient worker? What would you rather have? Someone that is effective or someone that is efficient? And we've got an efficiency and effectiveness quiz that I can post in the chat for you to look on when we are talking about it, or when we discuss efficiency and effectiveness. So we'll end with that quiz. But let's look at the one that we've done. And the first one says being busy means being productive. And by the end of today's conversation, you'll be able to at least have an answer to most of these things. Multitasking, being busy, working longer hours. Is productivity be about working longer hours or doing the right thing? Everybody that listens to me knows this. I don't believe in hustle culture. I don't believe in working, 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 working. So my answer to that will be false. It's not about how long you work. Sometimes work expands to the time that you give it. So it's about what you do with the time that you have. But it's good to see that everybody has a different opinion, especially when it comes to something like multitasking. So maybe we should start with that. Today's session, maybe I like breaking this productivity myths, and let's start with this. Productivity is about getting more done faster. Efficiency versus effectiveness argument. And when you say someone is efficient, from the productivity perspective, why we say something different is this. Efficiency is not all that it is. Efficiency refers to the ability to perform tasks or complete activities with minimum waste of time, effort, or resources. So the focus is on optimizing processes and reducing unnecessary steps or actions. So when you're saying you are being efficient, it's about being efficient means finding ways to accomplish tasks quickly with minimal error or redundancies. And sometimes, in my opinion, it involves streamlining workflow process, using productivity tools, and adopting strategies to maximize output while minimizing input. So we are looking at the difference between efficiency and effectiveness for now. Effectiveness, on the other hand, relates to achieving the desired results and is very outcome focused. So, when you're looking at someone that is effective, it means identifying and prioritizing the most important and meaningful tasks that align with your goals and objectives. So, both of them are quite important, but it is essential to focus on how the work is done. So, productivity is about effectiveness first, then efficiency, because what you want to do is ensure that you find the effective way to do it when we talk about effectiveness, and not just say, oh, this is how we do it and that is this. We must be efficient, we must be efficient, we must be efficient. So it's about effectiveness first, because you can be effective in the wrong thing. Just think about it. You're doing everything wrong. You're being, in your own words, you're being effective. then you're looking at, oh, am I efficient in this? Does efficiency matter? Efficiency matters if it doesn't matter if you're doing the wrong thing. Someone is trying to get my attention. I don't know if it's someone on the team, but let's look at a couple of the responses before you move on. So we said productivity is about multitasking. Does multitasking enhance productivity? And this is my opinion, and it has also been proven by science. Productivity is about doing the right thing. And sometimes when it comes to certain tasks, it's difficult to multitask. So you want a situation where you are giving it your full attention. What I have observed from my own experience is this: when I try to do everything at the same time, or two or three things at the same time, I am not able to do anything properly. And it's not about just me um focusing on the fact that we say women can multitask. No, multitasking is focusing on one task at a time. I mean, focusing on more than one task. And most times when you do that, you have to redo those tasks again. So what I believe that when it comes to deep work, I do what I call monotasking. Monotasking is focusing on one task at a time. So there are some tasks, maybe answering a call and sending an email, an important email. Answering that call may distract you from focusing on what's important and what you have to write in the email. It could be distracting because you can't really talk and type effectively. There are some tasks that, yes, you can multitask, but when it comes to doing work that is important for your business, for your brand, it's best to monotask. Monotasking is what we do when it comes to the co-working sessions that we have, where we focus on one task. Everybody picks one task and does that task for 30 minutes. We use the Pomodoro effect, 25 minutes, and takes a 5 minutes break. And from what I have observed over the past couple of years, it brings better results. Monotasking versus multitasking, that's another conversation that I should probably do a podcast episode on. But it's not just about doing all the tasks and then having to redo them, but it's about figuring out what works for you. It's about figuring out what works for you. The very first myth we talked about was about what being busy means being more productive. And that's not necessarily true. You don't have to be busy all the time. Sometimes we talked about effectiveness versus efficiency. You can be busy doing the wrong thing. So being busy doesn't necessarily mean that you are more productive. It just means that you are busy. Sometimes I call it you're busy being busy. So we don't want a situation where we are busy being busy. We want a situation where we are working on the right thing at the right time. And it's not also about, so true or false, being busy. I said to me that is false. Everybody has their own response. Multitasking, for me, that is false. Working longer hours leads to greater productivity. I said that is false. It's not about how many hours you spend on the task, but it's about your ability to focus. You can work for 13 hours and you're not able to focus on the right thing. But you can work on for 1 hour, do deep work, and you get more done. So the same way with multitasking, where it's about focusing on one task at a time and giving it your full attention. Now, we now look at speed. Is productivity about speed? You want to know my answer? No. Productivity is not about solely completing tasks quickly. It's not just about that. It's about doing different things. It's about understanding that the task you are focusing on is the right task. And it's not about the speed, but doing it well so that there are marginal errors. So far, if you've noticed the pattern, I'm talking about focusing on one task, doing one thing. That makes you more productive, doing the right thing. So when we talk about getting things done, I talk about getting right things done because it's not just about getting everything done, but you want to focus on the right things at the right time. Then more meetings don't it means better productivity at all. Sometimes meetings can be distraction, sometimes they are needed. So meetings are important, but more meetings does not equate to better productivity. Taking breaks hinders productivity. This is something I used to believe because and I struggle with it till date. When I start working and I'm focusing, I don't want to stop. I don't know about you. How many people, I Bolu, how many people, when they are working, they just don't want to stop? They are focus, they don't want any form of distraction, they don't want anything that stops them from working. They don't want it. What I've observed is when you don't take breaks, creativity comes from a place of rest. So sometimes you are exhausted and you're not able to actually focus, and you may have to redo what you've done. So taking breaks, stepping away from it comes and gives you fresh insight. It makes you relax your body, it makes you relax your eyes. And to me, that helps. So meetings equate, we've talked about that. Okay, let's look at the cluster space. And Anthony Babatunde said something. He said it is false to say having a cluster space enhances productivity, and I agree. Sometimes, yes, some people will say, "Oh, I understand my mess. I understand it's scattered, but it's just what I want." But sometimes, when you are in a different place, when you are in a clean place, it helps you to become more productive. So cluster spaces do not enhance productivity. They actually affect it because you get distracted. Sometimes if your place is clustered or untidy, you find yourself cleaning, or when you want to do something, you can't find the tools that you want to use. So cluster spaces do not improve productivity. So, what else? You say productivity is solely determined by external factors. Not really. I didn't get to ask this question. Procrastination is a sign of laziness and low productivity. We've talked about procrastination a bit, so I won't dwell too much on this part. But I will say this: people procrastinate for different reasons, and it doesn't mean they are lazy. Sometimes procrastination could be as a result of fear, it could be as a result of inexperience, lack of clarity, it could be a result of fear of failure, it could be as a result of not having tools or not knowing what to do. So that's what we talked about, where there's ambiguity of work. There's so much work to do. In the era that we live in, knowledge era, we have our intellectual properties, we have our minds, we have to put our minds into it. So sometimes there is overwhelm, there is overload of information, and we just can't get things done. So productivity is about effectiveness first, then efficiency. So it's not just about being efficient, and we've talked about what efficiency means, but it's about being effective. So not just efficiency, but effectiveness. Now, this is another conversation that people have. This is another thing people believe about productivity, that is just about having the right tools and right techniques. Just have the right techniques, have the right tools, and you know what to do. You'll be the best productive person. You'll be the most productive person. Buy the fastest computer, read the best books, have all the techniques laid out. And what we've discovered is that this is not necessarily true. Why are we going to these myths about productivity, and why are we trying to dispel them? The reason I want us to do this is so that we understand why we do what we do. We understand that every single day, the actions and inactions we take could impact us. So it's not just about having the right tools and techniques. I always say this: productivity comes first from the character, not techniques. And it's about you. Are you disciplined? Are you going to use these tools? Are you seeing these tools? The tools on their own do not work. You make the tools work. You are the assets. You are the person that makes sure that these tools are able to be used. You can have the best camera equipment. Think about it. Some of you have ring lights, you have a camera. You're meant to be creating content, shooting videos, doing certain things. You don't do it, but you have the tools. You have a laptop, you're meant to be writing, but you don't write. So it's about your character, it's about discipline, it's about what you've told yourself. You see these tools as an add on. Don't see tools as the go to, see them as an add on. Are tools important? Yes, but they're not the most important thing when you're building. When you're trying to be competent, you want to be competent first before you start getting tools. Because when you understand certain things, you will know that you don't need to get every tool. Think about it. There are some AI tools that come up and everybody is jumping to them. There are some that come up that you don't even need, but you spend hours studying them or trying to use them. Then you abandon them immediately. How many tools, how many softwares have you started using that you've abandoned? So it's not about the tools don't make you more productive. You make using the tools will make you maybe reduce the time you would use, but you have to play an active role. You can't play a passive role when it comes to techniques and tools. So character comes first. Now, this is something that we talk about a lot. The reason I'm doing this series and I changed the route a little bit because I realized that having a to-do list is not enough. So many people think that having a to-do list is enough. All you need is a to-do list. Having a to-do list is not enough. You can have a list of what you should do, but will you do it? That's what counts. So it goes back to your character. It goes back to discipline. It goes back to you doing what you have to do. It goes back to you understanding that a schedule is needed. Even if I say, because you can wake up in the morning and say, these are the three things I want to do, but when are you going to do it? So understanding that you are in control of the list also, and you have to go beyond the list and put the list on your calendar. So you're playing an active role. So knowing what to do is not enough, but scheduling your time and having the discipline, a word we don't like to hear. One word we identified we don't want to hear is chores. Another word is discipline. When we hear the word discipline, some people freeze, and we identify the fact that this could be as a result of how they were brought up, past experiences, and you see work as a chore. When you see work as a chore, you freeze and you are scared. You don't want to get anything done, and subconsciously it has impacted you. So knowing what to do is not enough. Some people say, once I can get everything under control, I will have peace of mind. Once my life is under control, everything will be fine. I would have peace of mind. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's not necessarily the truth. Deriving peace from your ability to do things will not make you more productive. You won't get more productive once you have peace of mind, once everything is fine. Everything is not going to be fine all the time. So you have to make do with what you have. And being productive and being the best version of yourself. Remember, we define productivity as doing what's important, not doing everything. And so that won't make you more productive. So we said another thing that most people think about is productivity is about tangible outcomes. There are sometimes that you've built character, you've learned certain things on the way. As you're doing, you are learning, you are growing, you are becoming more competent. You may not get the tangible results, but there are some intangible things that have come up as a result of your dedication, your discipline, and you showing up. So, if you are someone that is struggling to do certain things and you say, okay, for this month, I just want to show up for 2 minutes every day and sit on my desk and write. And that's what you want to do to build yourself. What you've built is something that somebody may not be able to hold. When you get things done, when your life changes, when you learn more about how to manage yourself, those things are not tangible. There are some intangible things that come from what we do that we don't even pay attention to. The resilience, the zeal, all those things as a result of you being productive, you being consistent, showing up frequently, doing what you are supposed to do, being effective, then efficiency follows. Okay, this is another one that you have to do everything. And this also goes to multitasking. Um, you don't have to do everything well 100% of the time. You don't have to give everything the same attention. We've identified in the past that certain tasks require more energy, certain tasks require more attention, certain tasks require more focus. So if you understand the task that you're focusing on or you're actually about to carry on and understand that that task is different, you understand that you don't have to do everything at the same time. You don't have to do it all. You just have to understand that every task is different, every activity is different, and define what those activities mean to you. We use the 1, 2, 3 method in the team now. That is one major maxi task, two midi tax and three mini tax. So we've identified one maximum tax that needs full attention that you need to do. So you can dedicate 2 hours in the day to that. But you don't have to do all the things, because if you write everything on your to-do list and you attempt to do everything, you end up doing none. We'll have what we call the overwhelm that we were talking about, where you are overwhelmed and you can't take any step. There will be lack of clarity, there will be lack of visibility. You would not know the path you're supposed to take if you're trying to do it all. Time management is the solution. Like we said, today we are breaking myths. We started with the quiz and now we're talking about a couple of other things that I would have liked to ask your opinion. But time management as the solution. This is something that I actually thought that once I learned time management, I don't know about you, but I felt that once I learn and understand time management, that I will be able to, yes, once I learn and understand how to manage time, I will be done for. I'll be the best person. That's the only solution that I need in order to get things done. And that's not necessarily the truth. The solution is not just time management, it's about respecting your time. You can manage your time and not manage other people and not respect other people's time. So we talked about respecting time, treating time as a resource that you have access to. And since you have access to this resource, you will use it properly, you will use it effectively. Seeing time as a tool, seeing time as something that you earn, because we all have, from the billionaire to the broke person, everybody has the same amount of time. So learning to manage time is not the only solution. It doesn't just, it's part of the solutions, but it's not the only solution to what we do. Multitasking is more productive than focusing on one task at a time. And we've talked about this already, so I will not dwell on it long. But yeah, we do monotasking. We believe to monotasking. We don't believe in working long hours to be productive. It's focusing on the right thing. It's not about how long you spend, but how your ability to focus on the work that is important at that point in time. So managing your time, not just thinking about the hours, but thinking about how your ability to focus when you have to. Now, this is something, and I want to get your opinion. Do you think you need to be organized to be productive? Do you think you need to be organized to be productive? And I will share my own story. Growing up, I wasn't the most organized person in the world. My mom would say that I was not the most organized person. My mind was very busy, and I was just trying to make up my mind to do certain things. So in my mind, I've organized something, but I have actually not done it. I find a way to live with chaos. And for some people, they felt that, oh, you can't be productive once you're not organized. You don't need to be organized 100% to be productive. Or maybe you need to be productive to be organized. I don't know. But I would like to hear your thoughts on this one. Um Babatunde said, I agree with the part of enhancing a practical character of working rather than tools. Yes, I agree with that. It's about character, it's about discipline, it's about the little things you do. It's not just about having the best tools. You can have the best gadget. I always say this, that I bought my first camera in 2016 to start vlogging, or 2014 to start vlogging. Yeah, I moved into WeWork 2016. Yeah. So I bought my first camera 2014. They're about to start vlogging. I'm not still vlogging with it. Yes, I film once in a while, but I'm not even consistent with my camera. So having the tools did not make me more productive. Sometimes you think I need a website to in order to start my business. No, you need to build certain things before you do your logo. I'm sure Coach Bolu will agree with that, that the logo should not be the first thing you do when you want to do a business. But do you need to be organized to be productive? I don't think you need to be organized 100%. I think you need to find a way of working. You don't need to be organized completely to be productive. But there are people that agree and disagree with this statement, but this is what I believe. I believe that organization helps, yes, but it's not the most important thing, and it's not a do or die affair, like my mom will say. So if you are trying to be the best version of yourself, to focus on what matters, yes, you do need to be organized sometimes, but not all the time. You need to be fluid, you need to be flexible, you don't need to be rigid with what you do. You need to understand that productivity and creativity come from a place of rest, but being organized eases the productivity process. It makes you more productive, because if you know where everything is, you will be able to carry out what needs to be carried out. You'll be able to do what you need to do. But it doesn't start with you being organized all the time. It's about starting small. The problem is we want to be organized completely before we start being productive. But it's about starting small and building up gradually. Being productive, being efficient, being effective, whatever word you choose to call it, but doing what is right and getting the work done. It's not just about being organized. You can be disorganized and get work done, but that doesn't mean you should stay disorganized forever. But I would say, where you are with what you have, do what needs to be done, and gradually you will start improving. No one changes overnight. It's a gradual process. So the more time you spend getting things done and organizing one aspect at a time, the more productive you become. That's my own perspective. You need to be perfect to be productive. This brings us to the organized part, perfectionism. Most people want everything to be perfect before they take any step. Perfectionism kills more people than any other thing, because you want, we've talked about this earlier, but with perfectionism, you want a situation where every scenario is perfect before you take any step. And this is not entirely possible all the time, 100% of the time. This is not always possible. Perfectionism hinders growth. Some people say, oh, I'm a perfectionist, but I don't start, I don't do things. You don't realize that by doing that, you're shutting yourself down. You are not able to make progress. There is this saying that goes, progress over perfection. And the reason that statement goes is this: many people wait for the perfect time, perfect every single thing before they take any step. But if they were taking steps gradually, they will have become more competent, and competency builds confidence. So you say, oh, I want to be more confident before I start doing what I do. In 2016, when I picked up the first camera on my live, I wasn't the most confident person. I go back and look at those videos and I laugh because it was a starting point for me. But I started. I want you to start and I want you to continue. I want you to be consistent. I want you to keep going. I don't want you to start thinking about, am I doing it perfectly? You would improve with time if you have those review meetings that we talked about yesterday, where you sit down with yourself daily and say, what happened today? What did I say I was going to do? Did I do what I said I was going to do? What went wrong? What went right? What won't I do tomorrow? And then you keep learning from your own self, learning from your experience, learning from every single thing you do. So you don't need to be perfect to be productive, but you will get there. Busyness as productivity. This is something, some people are very busy. They are always busy. Sometimes I'm like that. I am totally busy and I'm not making any progress. I'm like, wow, I'm trying to write the book, I'm trying to do so many things, but none of them is succeeding. So it's not just about being busy, but it's about focusing on the things that are important. And that starts with defining what matters. So my way of looking at things is this: when it comes to doing work, I have three stages. It's about defining what matters to you. Once you've defined clearly what matters to you, then you design something that works for you based on what matters. So you're looking at your obligations, the task, every single thing that matters to you, you're writing it down. And then you are taking steps to ensure that you accomplish those things, but with flexibility for things that could come up. So it's not just about being busy. Because sometimes when you are so busy, you are not even able to do the things that you want to do. If you take an audit of your week and you realize how busy you were, sometimes you were busy doing other people's things. You were busy completing their own to-do list or note to you, because your task, when someone asks you to do something, it's on their own to-do list, so you are completing their to-do list while yours is filled up. So it's not just about being busy doesn't equate to being productive. That's what I will say. Okay, so we're talking about effectiveness. Do you think effectiveness can be learned? I think we need to learn how to work. We may not understand how we work, but we can learn how to work. And why is it important for us to learn how to work? That's what we'll discuss in day four. I mean, day eight, sorry. We're going to talk about why we need to care about our own personal productivity. How embracing your personal productivity is the key to your success. Because I always say that I build personal productivity systems for people. Something that is personal to you, something that is unique to you, something that helps you. Not may not help every other person, but helps you, because everybody is different. So why do you need to care about personal productivity? Why is it something we need to pay attention to? That's what we're going to be looking at tomorrow. But I said I was going to end today by talking a little bit about effectiveness and how effectiveness can be learned. Many people feel that certain things can be learned, but we need to learn how to work. We need to learn how to work. Efficiency is not the answer. As a knowledge worker, you have to ensure that killing the knowledge worker is just by asking them to be efficient all the time. And what we think about this is efficiency is about getting more things done in less time. That's what people say. Oh, she's a very efficient person. She's fast. She's this. And this is a natural response to overload. You just want to tick things off your list quickly. And it's about understanding that our tendency to speed things up could impact us negatively. It's not always bad if it's something short term, but it could backfire. It doesn't matter how efficient you are if you are doing the wrong things in the first place. Efficiency is important, but more important than efficiency is effectiveness. That is getting the right things done. So, productivity is not first about getting more things done faster, it's about getting the right things done. And why do we need to know this? And why do we need to learn this? And why do we need to learn how to work? Because you can get the wrong things done, and it is something that has happened to everybody. Efficiency doesn't solve the problems that we have. Efficiency doesn't solve the problem that we have. According to Stephen Covey, traditional time management suggests that by doing things more efficiently, you will gain control over your life. And that increased control will bring the peace and fulfillment you are looking for. And that's what traditional time management tells us. But that's not the truth. When we base our happiness on our ability to control everything, it is futile. It will never work. You see, most people are frustrated with traditional approaches to time management. Speeding things up doesn't help if you aren't going in the right direction. Just imagine you are going fast but in the wrong direction. And so, if you are going fast in the wrong direction, that means efficiency can make things wrong for you, it can make things worse for you. And when we are more focused on speed, it undermines the source of effectiveness in any organization, the people. You are important. So the reason I'm looking at us saying we're creating a personal productivity system, we want you to be much more effective. We're not just looking at efficiency. Effectiveness can be learned. You can learn to be effective at your work. Efficiency can be seen as the enemy of innovation. When you're looking at efficiency, it overlooks the importance of the intangibles that are needed in the knowledge economy. We are in the knowledge economy. We're in an economy that is no longer labor intensive. We're not on a production line, everybody having to do certain things, but we're using our brains to work. In order to do this, we need to get the best time or the best version of ourselves out there all the time. And we can use efficiency right. So, this is what we're going to be talking about tomorrow, how to create your own personal productivity system that I believe that you'll be able to create. But why you should think about it, why is it important for you to pay attention to these things? Just as a recap, the greatest evidence of productivity comes from intangibles, not just the tangibles. So we're looking at things that you can't hold: character, competence, certain things that you can't hold. By focusing on just the tangibles, we are not getting it right. Yes, the outcomes and results are important, but there are sometimes that we may not get the results that we want. But the next time we're doing this, we have learned certain valuable lessons that cannot be taken away from us. It's not just about being busy. Busyness is not just all we need when we want to be the best versions of ourselves, when we want to be productive, but it's about focusing on the right thing at the right time so that we produce results when they are needed and we are not overwhelmed. One thing we have is too much information. So how do we deal with this information? We want a situation where whatever we do, the information we are providing for people in our industry or people that work with us is information that they need and that they want, so we can help them be the best versions of themselves. You don't need to be perfect to be productive. You don't need to be organized to be productive. You don't need to work long hours to be productive. Breaks are important. Multitasking can work in certain areas, but when it comes to something that needs to be done, that we call deep work, your major things like writing your book, shooting a video, you cannot multitask. You have to focus on that thing. I call it the power of one, and I got it from the book The One Thing by Timothy Keller's son. And it talks about focusing on one thing. And a stamp has one rule. It sticks to one envelope till it gets to its destination. Be like a stamp. Stick to one project till you complete it. Stick to one thing till you are done. So we've talked about difference between project, task, activities. You have to understand that every activity, every project, every task doesn't carry the same weight. But when you are doing something that matters, you can't multitask. You have to embrace monotasking and try it out and tell me what you think. If you're going to try it, tell me. You have to embrace monotasking once in a while. But yes, multitasking is more Multitasking is more productive than focusing on one task at a time. That's one myth that we've debunked. And as usual, I'll leave you with one more question on effectiveness and efficiency. We've talked about the fact that time management is not the solution. We've talked about a couple of things. But my very last quiz question for you is this. It's about efficiency and effectiveness. And I want to know where you stand. Effectiveness requires, so this will make me know if you've understood the difference. Effectiveness requires regulating and evaluating, regularly evaluating and adjusting your strategies and priorities, true or false. So, as usual, end your day with your reflection, a daily reflection. Now that it's still morning, you can actually plan your day. So, question is, what do you want to do today? What is one thing you want to accomplish by the end of today? And by the end of today, you try and ask yourself, did I accomplish it? Because the day is still young. It's just 9:42. So you can still plan your day. You can still plan the activities. I don't check emails in the morning, for example. I check it at a specific time. I don't check certain things at certain times because they will impact my creativity and my productivity. It could be different for you. Do what works for you, but plan and execute. Review consistently. Don't just allow the fact that, oh, I did not do something, totally throw you off guard. But if you're observing yourself consistently, you'll be able to be the best version of yourself. So I just want to say thank you very much for joining me today. Does anybody have any questions, feedback, or anything they would like to share before we call it a day? And my own favorite myth that I like to bust was time management as the solution. That's my favorite one that I wanted to post and show that it's not necessarily true. And it's been proven by many people, not just me. So thank you so much for joining me today. And I hopefully will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's time may be different because I have to leave the house at 9:30. So we'll probably start at 8:30, but I will schedule it now so that you see. But we meet every day for the next 23 days at 9 a.m. Thursdays 8:30 and Sundays we meet at 9 p.m. I remain DK Jonah. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully, we'll have a conversation soon. Cheers. Bye.